Hello, Dave here. This mini morsel is on the NameAlizer, which basically just does first name, last name, uh, concatenation method on a very simple string entry. So we're going to kind of buzz through this one. It's the last exercise in chapter 4 of the book Modern JavaScript Develop and Design by Larry Ellman. If you want to check that out, you can go to larryullman.com. I have absolutely no relationship with Larry Ullman except for the fact that I purchased his book and using it to try to learn a little bit of JavaScript. Let's go ahead and start with looking at the NameAlizer. I'm just calling it NameAlizer because I'm not all that creative. But anyway, we enter a first name, we enter a last name, and through JavaScript, we return a formatted name, which is basically just concatenating it together. We'll take a look at that code in a moment, and we execute the JavaScript by clicking on this button. So if I enter a first name in here, and I'll put in first name, and I'll just tab down and put in last name, click on the button, and it puts it in with last name, comma, space, first name. And we'll come back and take a look at that from the browser perspective very briefly. Not much has changed, but let's go ahead and take a look at the code here. First of all, just some basic HTML. This is, again, the fourth program that's basically the same except for which method is being used as the last three we've done. But once again, here's the HTML, and here is the form, and here are the elements of that form that we're working with. First name ID, last name ID, formatted ID, this is what we're putting back out, and here's the button that we are clicking to make it all happen. And finally, at the very bottom, here is, I guess that's highlighted enough, is the actual link to the code. And once again, all this code will be available. You can go and play with these exercises, js.davecoast.com. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's get back to the code here. Here's the HTML that we're using, right? Here's the elements for these three fields here, right? First name, last name, form. Whoops. I guess I ought to show this while I'm pointing to it. First name, last name, formatted ID, and that's this. First name, last name, formatted, and I'm just using ID to know which it is. Now, here's the JavaScript. Basically 3 parts, nothing fancy. Once again, very first programs, and it's from the bottom up. We start with window.onload, and we start listening. So the start listening function, after the window is onloaded, waits for the button to be pushed. When it's waiting for that event to fire. When someone pushes that button, it executes the NameAlize function. The NameAlize function creates a variable called formatted name, gets the variable value that was entered by the visitor, gets the last name variable, so first name and last name, does a concatenation. It concatenates the values together, and the big deal here is the plus signs, concatenating 3 fields here. So we're concatenating one variable, a literal, which is a comma and a space between single quotes, and the first name. And then we are using the document.getElementById to place a value into the formatted ID. So this is the screen, and this is the value that we just created with the concatenation method. Then we return false to turn it off, and that's the end of the story. Also, there's some styling here. This will all be available for download out of davecoast.com if you want it. Not really necessary. Because this is the fourth one we're doing, it should be pretty clear what's happening at this point, at this simple level of a program. Again, just remember it goes bottom to up. And let's take a quick look at what's happening via the debugger. So zipping in here, or let's use Firefox's debugger. It just seems a little better. So we go into Firebug and go to Script and go to our NameAlizer. Right, so here's our script. Here's that JavaScript. That's what we just looked at. Right, it's the exact same as this. This is just in Notepad++. This is actually in the browser. But let's go ahead and at the first basic executable line where it creates the variable formatted name, we're going to go ahead and set a breakpoint. I'm going to put in F name 01 and last N 02. So I have a first name and a last name. Now I click the button. We stop at our breakpoint, and we have our watch variables available. I'm going to go ahead and bring this window over, try to make it a little more viewer friendly here. That ought to work. Ooh. Come on, baby. Help me out. Yeah, let's crunch that down a little bit. Okay, so now when I click the name, and I'm already stopped. Give me my window back. Let's go ahead and walk through it. So we're here. There's our window. Let's just make sure that just make sure we can see when this comes back to life. Okay, so we're about to get, remember, the highlighted line is about to be executed. So let me execute that line. So we just got that value, and that's why it's got fname01 in there. You see when I hover, and you see it placed it here. Let's keep going. Now we executed lname in, and that's equal to lname or last n02, last n02. Keep going. And formatted name is now set, and that has a value, last name n02, so it did this concatenation string. And we're about to place this information back here. So when I click this value should be filled. Let's go. You ready? Click. And there it is, because it executed this line. Let's return false, and it's over. So there's debugging it. That's the NameAlizer. Very simple, just doing a concatenation method. And we, on window onload, we start listening. Start listening, waits for the button to be pushed. When the button is pushed, it executes a function. I happen to name the function NameAlize, and that function creates a variable and does not assign it anything. It creates another variable and assigns it to the value that is out on the screen that the visitor entered. It does another variable, again from the page. Then it takes the new variable that was created and actually assigns a value using the concatenation. And I guess I need a speaking lesson. And once again, then we take that value and place it back on the page to the visitor and turn the function off so that it doesn't resubmit itself. So once again, comments, questions, let me know at dave@davecoast.com. Thank you very much for watching.